Another week, another Come On You Reds podcast. Welcome in and Wheels Up. Gareth Wheeler, Terry Dunfield with you. And Terry, let me just check on, they are actually still scoring goals at Citi Field in New York City. I think MLS solved their problem. If they want higher scores, more goals scored in their games, just play every game in a baseball stadium and you're going to get baseball-like score lines each and every week. That's the way to move things forward. How are you, Terry?
I first listened to the game on the simulcast on the radio coming back from One Soccer Studio after the Atletico Valor 6-1 game, and it was it's almost a goal. It's a great save from Morrow. It's in the back of there. Oh, and it's another goal for 90 minutes. It was incredible. I almost got in like 5 accidents.
Whoa. Just the dulcet tones of Luke Wildman steering you into oncoming traffic.
Yes, but then because it's on TV, and obviously they don't have our radio calls anymore, it's, did you see that? And I'm like, I didn't see it. I'm driving.
By the way, those radio calls were legendary. Me and you in the booth. I miss those times, Terry.
I miss the phone-in. The phone-ins after.
Phone-in. And we want to bring that to the podcast too. We want like some kind of interaction. To be continued. We're put that in the suggestion jar for now. On this week's episode, we'll get into that game, TFC 2 Academy update, and some other news and notes. How's your week, Terry? Things have gone well?
Yeah, it's been good. Woke up with a ton of energy this morning after the big Raps performance. But it was I was a bit gutted too, because I was this close to going to Philadelphia to watch the game. I was going to try to pull off an away trip.
Wow. That is one serious mission. How do you swing that going down to Philly for like 24 hours? Because you're like a busy guy. I guess it'd be less than 24 hours for you.
I don't know about that. I think we're all busy, but we had an early morning training session, hockey style. That's how we sold it to the parent group at 6:30 in the morning on Monday.
I'm sure that they were thrilled, the parents. They're like, this is the reason why our kids are not in hockey.
No, we've got an awesome parent group. They're all in. It really is all for one. My wife, Afton, was making breakfasts for the kids the night before. So I was practicing dad life with Afton. So that was kind of cool. We're looking to hire a couple new academy coaches. So they're running almost trial sessions with a couple of our academy teams this week, which was kind of interesting. I felt a bit violent. It was like someone was hanging out with Afton, coaching my team. So that was kind of weird last night. But anyway, I didn't like
That's a real job shadow right there.
Take it easy with that team. So I mean, maybe could have got away last night, and loved the Raps and felt a big performance coming. I love Philly, but I've only really kind of hung out near the stadium, and then I'd be back tomorrow morning. So that was kind of, just needed some mates.
Chester is a ways out, Terry. That's the home of John Conway, TFC goalkeeping coach, by the way. I love Philadelphia. It's a great city. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, not so much the 76ers or the Phillies or the Flyers or anyone else, but I'm a big time Eagles fan. It's a great city and they're passionate about their sports, and man, things turned ugly quick last night. Like, you're still up 3-2 in the season. Boo! Unbelievable. I actually find it quite endearing. And by the way, if you want to apply for academy coaching jobs, apparently you're paid enough that you can afford personalized flights, private jets down to Philadelphia for Raptors first round playoff basketball. Not bad. Or maybe you just have to be Terry Dunfield. That's the key.
I was all heart.
Awesome, man. I mean, there are a contingent of fans. You can be the next super fan. You and Nav Bhatia. But you got to like take a back seat. Like, I don't even know if you're in the same vehicle as Nav, but there's a place to start, and that's very cool. And what did I tell you with your firstborn arriving in the not so distant future? Take advantage of these opportunities now. So if there's a game 7, Terry, you're on your way. You're on your way down to Philadelphia.
It's funny. Yesterday I got a call from Afton, and everything's being moved forward a week. C-section. The baby's upside down. C-section's beginning of next week. Yeah.
Next
It's starting
week?
to get real. Yeah.
Dude, it's just going to get more real and more real as it goes along. My son, and not to make it just too much about us, but yesterday started crawling. He's doing the inchworm, inch by inch, starting moving forward. That's a whole other phase, which made me kind of think about Toronto FC in a way. And this is my bridge here. This is my segue, because I feel like inch by inch, step by step, TFC continues to make progress despite their setback on the weekend. There's multiple ways to look at the game. I'm choosing to look at what happened at Citi Field, a 5-4 loss to the reigning champs, New York City FC, in a view of a glass half full. I always thought that this was a difficult spot for Toronto FC heading into this game, Terry. They won 3 in a row at home, points in 4 consecutive games, beating some big competition, including New York City, across the way. Sometimes in sports, I don't know if they're pre-programmed, but there's those legislative losses or potential losses, those difficult spots. And I just felt that this weekend was one of them. Despite it all, they go up 2 goals. They end up getting and scoring 2 goals late to kind of push things right to the 95th minute or whatever. I still thought that despite the defensive breakdowns in the team, there were positives to garner from it, and chalk it up to another learning experience for this very young team. I don't know how you come away from the game, because there were so many different things that happened over the course of 90 plus minutes.
Yeah. I think coming into the game, we spoke about Mets Field versus Yankee Stadium, and whether that would be an advantage or not. I think kind of with now that the dust has settled, I'd probably say it wasn't. I think the bigger pitch actually suited New York City. It gave them a little bit more space to play. So yeah, I don't think that helped us. And I agree with you. I think that there's so many positives you can take from it. We're an exciting team to watch. We're a team that can score goals in a second. We're a team that's resilient, and it would have been easy to throw the towel in at 5-2. We've got to go, even though he let in 5, Alex Bono was arguably our best player, made some big saves. I think if you look at things big picture, we're still in the top 5, and we're a team that's growing, and reinforcements are coming.
I mean, that's the thing. When you're growing, when you're learning, Terry, sometimes you're going to fall flat on your face. Like my boy just fell flat on his face earlier today. And what happens? He just gets back up and keeps on going, right? Like this is going to be kind of the process of this Toronto FC team before Insigne comes, before the squad is absolutely complete. There are going to be moments like this that you need to learn from. But what I do like is each and every time, there's no turtling, there's no giving up, there's no putting up the white flag. There's requisite fight in this group. And we saw it. You know, a player was sent off, TFC still scoring goals in the 90th minute through their captain, Michael Bradley. And look, there were some nervy moments in those final few minutes of a game that looked completely out of reach midway through the second half.
For sure. And I think too, part of it, Wheels, is when you have a young team there, you know, the young players are going to grow, and you know, they need these experiences, and it's important, you know, that you're going to take some knocks along the way, but that they use these top opportunities as a way to take the game to the next level. And you know, what's tough right now with where our squad's at is we're really relying on our young guys right now, and you can't really take them out of the firing line. So they are going to play, and they'll be better for it.
So let's look at this in chunks. Obviously, New York City scored 5 unanswered goals, which gave them the full 3 points. So let's look at before the 5, and after the 5. It's probably the best way to kind of break it down. But a flying start for Toronto FC. Jesus Jimenez, beast mode, scoring 2 very different goals, Terry. One that was well worked from Mr. 300, Jonathan Osorio, playing the ball across. Somehow Jimenez got there before two New York City defenders, as well as another TFC player inside the area. Ball off the post and in. And then the deftest of chips just over Sean Johnson, who must have nightmares seeing Jimenez or Pozuelo. He's like, no more Spanish players for Toronto FC, please. Because those two players simply have had his number. He's otherwise a very good goalkeeper, but TFC go up 2-0. Cosi Thompson, I should say, involved heavily in both those goals, especially that ball in behind the back line to Jimenez in stride on the second goal.
Oh.
It was a thing of beauty, Terry. So let's work from those goals first. What were your thoughts? What were your takeaways?
Yeah, let's start with that pass, that Pirlo pass. It was, what a great look from Cosi Thompson. And he's playing a little bit out of position, almost at times as a right back. But
so
he
Terry,
didn't think
sorry to cut you off. For the growing up through the academy, where was his preferred position? Because we have seen him play all over the field.
Yeah, he did start off as a number 9, and would work his socks off up there and really lead from the front. Very good defensively, would press hard, would hold the ball up, was very consistent. That was kind of at the start of his days in the academy at kind of under 13, 14, 15. And then he moved out wide to kind of right or left wing in a front three. And then that's where he played with TFC2. And then I guess we've seen him play as an interior midfielder, as an 8, as a wing back, as a full back in a midfield too, alongside Michael Bradley under Bob Bradley. So I think he can play anywhere. He's got a wonderful skill set where his game's pretty adaptable, and depending on what the situation requires, I think he can match it. And to not only see the pass, but execute it, for that final act, that pass in behind the field was another level. And that'd probably be the knock on his game. Does he have that final product? But what a pass that was to set off Jimenez, and a real composed finish. Again, time slowed down for him. And I thought the first goal was a good goal as well. It was on the back of a 20-pass move. Salcedo kind of unlocks it with a long diag. We pick up a second ball. And again, it's a nice slip pass from Cosi Thompson, a real Bob Bradley goal with a hard run in behind. You kind of get into that nice Man City space. It's a cutback, and it's 1-0. But those two goals show that we can hurt teams in different ways, whether it's a 20-pass set attack where we move New York City around a little bit, or getting numbers behind the ball, winning possession, and a couple passes, we're in behind them and it's in the back of the net in transition.
A few words on Jonathan Osorio. We spoke about it heading in. It looked to be his 300th game. It was. I think he played as long as he could that game, suffering a little bit from a thigh injury, suffered the previous week. But it's a great trivia, or stat or mentionable that I keep on throwing out there, that you came off for Osorio as he joined the play at Rogers Center for his first appearance, 300 appearances later. Here we are with Oso.
Yeah, he's. I like what Pozuelo said. I want him to get to 500, and it's a big year for him. He's in his contract year. His form's been ridiculous, both for club and country. We need this niggle to go away that's kind of been bothersome in and around the thigh area. But he's been outstanding. He's been a 4-moment player. I believe one of the goals, the first goal, it's actually him back pressing to win possession, which will lead at the start of the 20-pass sequence. But he's been pivotal off the field as well. I think kind of having a local player, a Toronto guy, is huge for the culture piece. And he's inspiring for the academy kids too, to say, he inspires them. It's the dream's real. You can play for your hometown team in front of 30,000 plus fans, and if you do really well, you'll be rewarded too with a pretty big time contract.
there's Andre 3000 and now Osorio 300. So not sure who's cooler. I'll go for the guy that's playing for Toronto FC for now. After you go up 2-0, does the thought process change? Because it seemed like TFC were still playing that same way. It was an interesting formation that Bradley went back to playing three center halves. What I'm thinking in my head when I'm looking at that team and the group that was selected, he's just trying to get his best players on the field right now in terms of dealing with some players with knocks and just not being, fully fit. I think he stayed in that formation for that reason. What's the mindset at that point? What do you make of the shape of the team? It was a talking point amongst some fans post-match, whether it was a mistake to play three center halves or would it have been better off to play four at the back?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I think, potentially the technical staff are still figuring out their best team. And, there's some injuries with Akello out, Nelson
Prizo
suspended. Pardon me?
Prizo as well.
Prizo out. Fit. Yeah. So you I think you want to get your best players on the pitch. Part of how you look at it is the threats that New York City pose and their front unit, whether it's the front four or if you could say even their front six are pretty mobile, as we saw in a couple of goals. So kind of having that extra player in the back line helps, that little bit of protection. So I think that those are kind of maybe some of the thoughts that Bob Bradley are juggling. I get why he went with a three. It makes sense. What you are giving up is maybe a little bit of possession in the wider areas higher up the pitch, just ahead of Petrasso and Osorio. And that's where the first goal comes from. It's a little bit tricky to stop it at source. And that led to a little bit more New York City possession.
Let's not mince words here.
Having said that, though,
go ahead.
Yeah, it wasn't too crazy. It was only 55% to 45.
Yeah, it's look, Tati Castellanos, like when you look at top strikers in this league, and not even over the course of this season, I'm talking like the last 5-10 years. In terms of a number 9, there's few that have been better. Like Carlos Vela, obviously top player. Joseph Martinez pre-injury was unbelievably good. Castellanos is in that conversation. Like his movement's great. The power, the precision behind his efforts on goal, like it's all top stuff. Didn't surprise me he scored the first one, but Alex Bonham denied him a couple times. I'm not sure Castellanos didn't score. Even that rocket that was called back because the player was offside came off the player a little bit. I mean, Castellanos was buzzing. Like he could have had 4 in the first half alone, Terry.
Yeah, I was interested to see how he'd play out after winning the league last year or MLS Cup. He was linked, I believe, to Boca Juniors and maybe a move to Europe, a little bit like the Acosta one when he was at DC. Remember, there was an opportunity for him to have a big
PSG,
move.
Right?
Yeah,
PSG.
And it didn't quite play out for him, and it led to kind of maybe internal problems at DC. He's now at Cincinnati, who we're going to play at the weekend. And I think players always want to play at the next level, always want to keep pushing. And when it doesn't maybe play out a move that you probably deserve for whatever reason, players sometimes will spit their dummy out. And what's been interesting about Castellanos is it's taken him a while to get going this year. But he's pushing hard. And he'd be in the conversation for top 3 nines in the league right now. He's a real handful. He's coming off of 4 goals in the last game. So he was always going to be a problem. What'll be tough when you look at the goal again on Monday in the team review is TFC are comfortable. They've got everybody behind the ball. They push New York City to their right-hand side, TFC's left. And it's a straight pass. Mavinga's drawn out. New York City get the wrong side of Schaffelberg. and Castellanos just gets a yard on our back line, and all of a sudden, within 3-4 passes, it's in the back of the net, and it's now 2-1 at 37 minutes, and New York City are right back in it after a couple big saves from Alex Bono. And I thought TFC were just causing their own problems. There were just some tough giveaways that they probably wouldn't normally give up.
Totally. And I feel for Alex Bono. I think he's had a very good season, Terry. I think clarity, the fact that it looks like he is the number one right now and moving forward for TFC, I think that helps the player. But TFC in 18 straight in all competitions without a clean sheet, it seems like the missing link. And when you end up conceding 5 goals, you're like, oh, what was the goalkeeper doing? But I kind of look at those goals and like, what was Alex Bono supposed to do? Some absolute crazy saves and some goals where really the team in front of them didn't quite do enough. In New York City, were just overwhelming at times. Is that kind of how you look at that performance? It's just like the goalkeeper, there wasn't really much he could do whatsoever.
Yeah. There's not a goal I look at and I think he'd like that one back. I liked what you said about just the clarity on number one, and each keeper's a little bit different. And I think competition for places is important, but I think Alex Bono just being in the driver's seat has led to solid performances. And I'm sure Q's pushing him, and he'll be ready for his opportunity when it does come, whether it's a cup game, he'll take it. But I'd say that the extra man at the back, I thought the team protected the goal pretty well. The second goal just after halftime is, it's a tough one. We highlighted it a bit in the last podcast that New York City are quite good down the left-hand side. They create a little bit of an overload. And I'm just wondering what's going through Chris Mavinga's head. There's kind of a shot on the half turn, and he kind of steps out. I think Schaffelberg's a little bit deeper, which I think it was always the New York City attacker was always going to be onside because there's a deflection to the shot. But there's just a little bit of a gap in the back line there. And maybe that comes with just different personnel playing. We've struggled to kind of put out the same 11, same shape consistently.
Well, that was a challenge that Bob Bradley issued to Chris Mavinga after last week's performance against Philadelphia, because it was a top performance. And the manager just said, we need to see that consistency, not just from Chris, but from across the team. I think that TFC had some mental lapses that led to New York City scoring those 5 straight. Unless you want to break down specific moments, I want to keep things general, but there's 3 things that I noted that kind of were the common influences that kind of let New York City, gain that stronghold in the match. One was keeping the ball building out of the back. New York City was just coming with that high pressure, Terry, and TFC were having such a difficult time building out of the back. Like the one ball that was played by Thompson just down the right-hand side, just a searching ball. It's because he had no other options. He was just trying to play it long, hit and hope stuff. And New York City regularly punished when that happened. Far post defending continues to be an issue. That will be the case not only when you have 3 center halves, but 2 players playing the fullback positions that are still learning how to play that position properly. And 3, defending in transition. It's been a common theme, and we've addressed it on previous podcasts, when to be aggressive, when to maybe take a step back. The transitional defending still a little bit of a problem spot for this TFC team.
Yeah. So maybe some cracks or a touch highlighted against a really good New York City side.
Yes.
I think we got to nail that home. I'd agree with it. At times it just kind of got pinned in, and it was just wave after wave of attack. And when clearances do go forward with Pozuelo and Jimenez up top, you've got a more of a technical front too. So I think you've got to expect at times for another wave of an attack to come. A couple of the goals were, and I think Alex Bono bailed the team out a couple times in the first half, were just tough turnovers in bad areas of the pitch. And it plays into the strengths of New York City where they are good in transition. And once they get going, they're tough to stop exploiting that space.
22 shots for New York City FC. We addressed it last week. TFC dead last in terms of expected goals against in Major League Soccer, 1.7. No one else is above 1.5. So you just need to limit the chances. It's a good thing that Alex Bono has more saves than any other goalkeeper in MLS, but it's a double-edged sword because you don't want to be giving away that many chances as well.
I don't know if that's a stat.
Yeah.
Unless you're in if you're in the goalkeeper union, I don't know if that's the stat you love.
No kidding. You prefer not being as busy, but the goals were carved out in different ways. Some really good finishes, Terry. Like that New York City FC team has some very intriguing young players in their group. And once he hit 2, you knew that 3, you knew that 4. You just had the sense that it was coming. And they overwhelmed TFC at times. My only thought was I felt like TFC were getting outnumbered a little bit in the midfield. Whether there's anything that you can do to reinforce that position during those difficult moments, there just didn't seem to be an answer in order to like plug up the leak when it first sprung there in the second half.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think you've got 2 ways to maybe look at it. You rejig your shape a little bit and maybe bring an extra player into midfield, but you're going to lose a number elsewhere, or bring on a couple technicians and really work hard to keep the ball and try to take the sting out of the game that way. I think those are maybe your 2 options.
Let's very quickly deal with after the 5, and TFC punched back with 2 late goals. Congratulations, a first MLS goal for DeAndre Kerr. Really good header inside the area. TFC, I think, had been good on set pieces. So another young TFC player going out and getting their first MLS goal. And then Michael Bradley, he scored a goal last year. Certainly not, that's not the first part of his job description to go out and score goals, but another really good finish by Michael Bradley to make things interesting after New York City had a man sent off for a second cautionable offense. Jordan Peruzza put the defender Morales on toast, turned him. Yes, he did elaborate or exaggerate the contact that was made, but that was all created by a very good touch on the ball by Peruzza to turn him inside out. So a grandstand finish by Toronto FC, and simply put, they just ran out of time in the end. A little bit of a case of too little, too late.
Yeah, there's a huge momentum change. There's the penalty appeal as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you think it was a penalty when Jimenez went down? It was 50-50 going to VAR. I never thought it was going to be given, but if it was given on the field, I don't think VAR would have turned it around either. That was my kind of view on it.
Yeah, it was the Kerr header was his first ever goal. It was just like, it ain't no thing. Like, I just do this all the time. And it's just like he was doing it in training. And he's like, maybe I'll get the ball. And then he runs back to center. It was a great moment for him and everyone at the club. And then Bradley notches and is it on? Is it possible? You just want one chance, which didn't quite come, but it was great spirit and entertaining game. And I think coming back to 5-4 sets you up nicely for Cincinnati, where I think it just kind of softens the mood a little bit in the changing room. The guys will be disappointed for sure. As we kind of touched on, there's some real growth moments and we'll get there, and the team is in a good place. It's important that the dial isn't turned too far negatively, and the guys continue to keep pushing. It's going to be a slog this year. It's a long season.
That's the thing, though. 5-4 just feels so much different than 5-2, and perhaps that's why I came out of it feeling something completely different. Again, like TFC, just this iteration of the team, you're not going to come out and just dominate opponents on a weekly basis here. Like, you're going to take your lumps. And, when the goals are being conceded against, New York City FC and the New York Red Bulls at home, there's been questions asked about their defensive work, but there wasn't those questions being asked last weekend, just limiting a very good Philadelphia Union, top of the table Philadelphia Union team at home, right, Terry? So I think that you need to keep the big picture in mind when you're looking at this team and not just kind of looking at the micro and just being overwhelmed by it.
Yeah, I agree. And I'd say some of the gaps are very fixable too. So no, I think I know we're moving in the right direction, and it's just a real positive brand of football too. It's entertaining. It's very different to some of the 4-5-1 stuff we saw at the end of last year, where we're sat in our own half, and when we're protecting the space in behind, and there's a lot of 0-0s and 1-1s. I think If I'm a TFC fan, I'm enjoying every minute of it. And got this Insigne guy coming pretty soon now too.
No kidding. And potentially another player or two. So we'll wait and see what that looks
I love
like.
how you always want more.
I have my ear, I'm trying to get a good grasp of what's happening. Always, Terry. One other mentionable congratulations to Temi Atonoglu. Another difficult name to pronounce, especially for someone like me. But another young player from Toronto going on to make their first team debut. I'm counting 7 players have made their MLS debut for TFC this season. Temi's the latest. Thompson, Chung, McNaughton, Petrasso, Jimenez, and Kerr are among the players who've got their first taste of MLS action. Good on the player. You are our gateway. You are our window into what these young players are all about. What can you tell us about Temi and his rise to the first team?
Where do I start? Unless I've been calling him the wrong name for the last 6 or 7 years, it's Themi.
Themi, okay.
Yeah. He came into the academy. He was more of a traditional left back, a real late developer. And our academy director and all the staff did a fantastic job with him, and just gave him time. And he played a year down at times, just because that's where he was at physically, to just give him a little bit more time, more touches on the ball, a little bit more confidence. Themi and his family really bought into the process, and we're okay with it. And that was the best for his development. And playing a year down, it's been pretty linear for him. He's just progressed and tracked nicely through the academy, and he's a little bit older now. But he's he had a couple good years with TFC too, and he's a player. He's a great kid off the field. He's a player that everyone's kind of rooting for. Really good technically. Can play at left back, can play at left wing back, can play at left wing. Showed last year that he was very reliable for TFC too, and is there's been just steady gains every year, and I think that he's another example of the player development. There's not an exact science to it. Pathways are very different, and each kid will progress at different times and need something a little bit different. And what's so cool right now, I sent a message to Mike Sorber, is just the trust and the faith being shown in our young players. And what it's done is it's completely changed the culture here, that every player now in the academy knows that they have to work hard and that nothing will be given to them. But the dream's real. And if you're good enough, you'll be given a shot, and not just 5 minutes. That you'll be given opportunities to train with the academy, with the first team, and when the time's right, that you'll be given minutes.
I can't believe I was so focused on getting his last name right that I butchered his first name. So congratulations to Themi on making his debut. Very cool. And you see other former players who spent some time with the TFC Academy, Theo Corbeanu, reaching out to him on Instagram, congratulating him. There's a real bonding experience between these young players who are then going on and getting their first professional opportunities. So very cool to see. And it's a recurring theme. And as the season goes on, we'll see which players stick. The collective mindset is, if you're good enough, you go out there and perform, there's going to be a spot for you in the team. I love that from Bob Bradley, and the players have bought in and they're believing in it as well. So well done. Congratulations to Jesus Jimenez. He's my wheels up player of the week. He's in the MLS team of the week, joint leader in most goals scored this season in Major League Soccer. So good on him for that. Anything else from the game, Terry?
No, I think that's everything. Learn from it, move forward, and a couple good games against Cincinnati coming up.
TFC, despite the setback, here's some perspective. Everyone's high on the way that Montreal has been playing over recent weeks. They're a very good team. TFC still level on points with them. Joint 4th place in the Eastern Conference of Major League Soccer, just 3 points back of the Red Bulls in Orlando City for 2nd place. So still a good context. good springboard for Toronto FC to take the things forward. And you mentioned it, 3 p.m. Saturday at BMO Field, FC Cincinnati rolls into town. Did you ever play in one of these in Major League Soccer? You play back-to-back games against the same opponent in back-to-back weeks. It's a little bit of a crazy one. I'm not sure if it's a good thing or not, but it's a little bit of a home and away over the next 2 weeks for Toronto FC and FC Cincinnati.
Yeah, my first thought is with my coaching hat on, it's a nice one because all your analysis and you're not quickly flipping the switch to another team. You can kind of live in one space for a couple weeks. I think both sides will probably put out their best team for the first game. There'll be some learnings from the first game and some opportunities and threats that'll come up for both sides, which you'll see some adjustments in the second game. I think big picture, only New York City have scored more goals than us. Cincinnati are bottom of the table. They give up goals. Acosta's the player that makes them tick. They've got a couple injuries. If you can take, let's say, 4 points out of this, you're knocking on the Eastern Conference top 3 door.
Yeah. Look, TFC owes FC Cincinnati 2 ugly losses to them last season. I know they came away and won the third and final game that they played, but this is an FC Cincinnati team that still hasn't been able to get it right in MLS. Not quite yet. They're still bottom of the table. They've been without their top goal scorer, Brendan Vasquez. He may be able to play this week. He already has 5 goals on the season. It's been a really good start. Their goalkeeper Khan was out last week. Nick Hagglund was suspended, another player that we love up here in Toronto, still part of the FC Cincinnati setup. If you look at Cincinnati's team, there's some real talent there. Pat Noonan's their head coach right now, and I just wonder what he needs to do to bring this team together. 2 good results earlier in the year. They won at Orlando City, and they beat Inter Miami as well, and they haven't won a game since. It's been over the better part of a month. So they're going to look at this as a real opportunity to go out and get something here against Toronto FC, but TFC just need to go out and do their job as well here.
Yeah, I think the mindset one will be important, Wheels, in that all the players will know you're playing against a team that's bottom of the league. They had probably a result on the cards against LAFC going in their last game. They were up 1-0, and a late goal led to an LAFC 2-1 result. So that's a bit of a kick in the stones. I agree with you. They've got some nice pieces, and I think Pat Noonan's role is to try to bring it all together and really formulate an identity. The last couple times I've seen Cincinnati play, it's if you stop Acosta, you stop Cincinnati. But it'll be a game for sure, at home at BMO Field, where I think we'll be the clear favorites. That's not an easy one. Whereas I think for probably most of the games we've gone into it and the mindset, and it's going to be tough. We're going to have to really be at it to pick up points here. And I think that mindset's put us in a good place, and it'll be interesting to see how the guys react to being the clear favorites, with all due respect to Cincinnati.
Yeah. Brenner, Yubo, Cruz, there's some good players in this team alongside Acosta. Jeff Cameron, experienced as well at center back as well. So we'll see what they look like. First a back-to-back TFC and Cincinnati, and it's even a quicker turnaround. It's a weekend midweek. So Saturday, 3 p.m. at BMO Field. Hope to see you down there. Mother Nature's starting to take a turn for the better here in Toronto. Then Wednesday night at Cincinnati.
5 degrees today. I wanted to ride my motorcycle in. It's freezing. What are you on
Yesterday
about?
I was sweating when I was outside. So,
and then I went for my thunderstorm last night.
I'm looking at the temperature. Is it getting cold again? I don't know. I'm trying to be positive here. Okay.
Sorry.
It's been awful to start the year. I'm sure it's going to be nice this weekend.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
Let's go.
Crossed. Just a couple more news and notes. TFC 2 fell to Columbus Crew 2 on the weekend. 2-1 was the final. Hugo Mbonge scored again for TFC 2. He's got to be knocking on the door for the first team as well. Also of note, Tim Bizbachenko plucking Canadian talent as Jason Russell Rowe, another former TFC Academy player, went on to score the match winner for Columbus.
And Farsi's there.
Yeah. Yeah. On Russell Rowe, another good young Canadian player. Look, in the CPL on the weekend, we saw Osaze do Rosario, pretty good name there, score again for York United. My mindset on this is like, good on TFC and the academy. Keep on producing players like this, giving them opportunity. There's never, I don't care what club you are in the world, there's never, ever, ever going to be a 100% hit rate. There just can't be. Just you said it early in the podcast, players develop at different rates. Some players want a different opportunity somewhere else. It's just the world that we live in. But I think it's a testament to the players that continue to be produced by coaches like yourself, Terry, that these players look the real deal when they take that step and they're given an opportunity on another stage.
Yeah, I like that perspective on it. And I think that there'll always be a nice alumni back to TFC Academy that we were able to help some of the young Canadian players in their journey to become a professional soccer player. And I think what it starts to do is, create a little bit of noise that the environment at TFC's Academy is what you want to be a part of. And we can help you become a pro. And I think the 905 Raptors team have done a great job of that, developing players like Norman Powell, Van Fleet, Siakam, and now players don't want to be drafted. They want to be a part of the 905 culture where you can get the tools to get paid one day in the NBA. And our academy director says it all the time here. It's down to the kids, and we've got an incredible demographic that we draw from. I'd say we have the best player pool in North America. It's pretty special. We just create the right environment, and then it's down to the kids to really make the most of it. It's a special place, and Bill Manning says it all the time. Our secret sauce at TFC's the training ground. It really is a laboratory, and it's a special place.
Yeah, my love for Manchester United. We stink right now, but
how are you doing a Manchester United segue?
Where do you go? I'm saying this because United's academy has produced more players that have played in the Premier League than any other academy, right? And some players stick, some players go, but again, it's a testament to the structure around it and the player pool that you're developing as individuals as well as players. So good on all you guys. Want to give a tip of the cap there in a very positive way.
Kind of piece I'd say on that too, Wheels, is let's not forget we're only 10, 12 years old, the academy, and we're just starting to see, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're just starting to see the fruits of all the good work right now. And a big shout out to Bob Bradley and his staff for really trusting in the guys. And it's real. Ontario is a gold mine. This number's a little bit stale, but in November 2021, the Canadian men's national team squad, over 70% of it came from Ontario. And the numbers on transfermarket.com were ridiculous. It was just under $70 million worth of value US. The players from Ontario, it's a gold mine, man.
What was my value listed at? Was it listed anywhere?
That was my talent.
Don't waste too much time, buddy. A feel-good story as well as some sad news to pass along. First off, very cool. Jaden Nelson went back to his old public school this week. Look forward in an upcoming all-for-one Copetown Public School in Brampton, the home of the Coyotes. And he went and started a donation to providing funds for a snack program that went by the wayside. It's being reinvigorated under Jaden Nelson. What's super cool about this for me is he's just starting his career. He's 19 years of age. and he's already getting back and trying to give back however he can. This isn't a player that's 10 years into his career, has built up a pot of, some resources and is living a comfortable life. This guy's a player that's just starting his career, and he's already keeping an eye on what's going on back in his own backyard. I love that story. So good on Jaden Nelson for doing that.
Little bit of a Rashford move.
Little bit of a Rashford move in a very positive way. So good on that. Unfortunate news to pass along. A former teammate of yours, Freddie Hall, a goalkeeper, played for TFC in 2012, has passed away at the age of 37, reportedly in a car accident in his native country of Bermuda. Played for various clubs, played for Limerick in Ireland, among others. In 2012, played about 10 games for TFC. In league and in the Champions League. In fact, he played against Santos Laguna in the Champions League as well. A player that and a former TFC player who's lost his life far too soon.
Yeah, it's awful. Our condolences to Freddie and his family. And it sucks. Paul Mariner, I guess, had another TFC man that's passed away too. Must have had a Bermudan connection. Brought in Reggie Lamb as well. Was lucky enough to share a locker room and a pitch with Freddie, and his smile was infectious. He was a big shot-stopping goalkeeper, big personality. Every minute of his time in Toronto, he just was so grateful of the opportunity, and just loved life here in Toronto. And it's a tough one.
As much as we look forward at this club, we also need to pay tribute and acknowledge the past as well. And, players like Freddie were a big part of, the foundation and the growth of this club and where it is today. So condolences to Freddie, to Freddie's family, and everyone who's been affected by this tragic loss. Freddie Hall gone far too early at the age of 37. That's all for us this week. Sorry?
Nice memory. I remember we were playing with Freddie. We were at New York. We're playing the Red Bulls away in New Jersey. And Thierry Henry was playing, and he'd never come up against Thierry Henry. I say it like I've played against him all the time, but at halftime, it's like, Thierry's got nothing. Like, we've got him, guys. And we're all like, okay, very confident. And in stoppage time at the end of the game, I think he scored from halfway and scored a ridiculous volley. And the Red Bulls beat us 4-2. And I remember him coming in after. He's like, that's why he's Thierry Henry.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like, yeah, man.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Just looked up the weather for Saturday at BMO Field. Okay. 11 degrees. No chance of precipitation as of right now. So come on, get in. That'd be perfect footballing weather. And we hope to see you out there at BMO Field, 3 p.m. Saturday, TFC and FC Cincinnati. Good stuff this week. Go Raptors as well, Terry. And Dunfield may or may not be here. He might be in Philadelphia for Game 7 upcoming. We'll see. We need to get past and through Game 6 first, but here we go. Thanks to our producer, Erica, as well. And thank you for tuning in. On behalf of everyone at TFC, I'm Gareth Wheeler. Wheels down for this week's Come On You Reds.